Yes.
Yep.
So I have no idea who's going to show up today. I see Tanisha is here. I see Suman is here. We're going to wait about 5 minutes and see how it goes. How are things going for you, by the way?
Oh, going pretty good. I'm kind of talking with a number of clients, but nothing like big, no big projects going on right now. So getting those kind of figured out right now in negotiations.
So I've just done something strange for you, Rolf. I've put you on as a co-host of my meeting,
Oh, sure.
which means that when people show up, you can pull in or and things like that. Um, so I've got a challenge here. Oh, too much work, too little time, too few clients. I just did the tally of how many people I taught last year, and I'm in the webinars. I had 8,000 people,
Wow.
and in my students, I had close to 10. But the problem that's coming out of that is a number of paying clients. Everything in AI is free. And so it sort of comes back to that issue again and again. So that, hey, Damian, how you doing? You guys are neighbors. You and Rolf.
Ralph, I think I've heard your name before. I'm over in Old Town. Where are you at?
No,
I'm in Minneapolis.
Okay, all right.
it's neighbors American styles. They're not
Fair
like
enough.
not really close.
Yeah,
Um,
but you're in the PMP as well, so you're a project management professional, right?
Yeah.
So I do a lot of work with the project management community here in the Twin Cities.
so so what would be really cool is if we actually have a really small group. This would actually be really easy because then I can actually go through and tell you what my big concerns are. Um, And what I'm amazed at is I know how many people signed up for the event, but I didn't send any reminders out. So let's see how it goes. So what I've got is I've got a talk that I'm going to do on Saturday, and I need to stand up in front of a bunch of people and tell them something which is interesting. It's a TED talk. Um, and the goal for me is not really to convince anybody in the audience that this is interesting. My audience is actually somebody who sees the presentation afterwards and says, you know what, you should see that thing from Mr. Cassady somewhere along the way. And to give you an idea of the challenge which is there, um, a good TEDx talk will get 800,000 shares. An average TEDx talk gets 2,000 shares.
Hmm.
So we're looking at magnitudes of differences in terms of result. So what I wanted to do is I have a talk, and what I was hoping to do is go through this and tell you what I see is issues with it, and see if you guys have any really clever solutions that help how to help me solve these issues. So if that's okay with you, why don't we go through it? I think you see a full screen version of the presentation right now. Is that right?
Not yet, just seeing you still.
Yeah, that must be horrible.
Well, everybody else on the call too. So
Yeah, it probably makes it better. Hey, Philippe, how you doing?
Hi.
Let's see. I got this here. So there.
there we go. See something happening now.
Okay. So I did this last week to a bunch of people that I know, and they gave me some really harsh feedback. But I was asking for harsh feedback. So sometimes when you ask for something, you get what you ask for. And Um, what they told me were three remarks, and I'll tell you what the three remarks were. The first remark is this presentation is about how AI could help you make a pitch or a presentation better. And one guy said, look, you don't need to take very long to say, tell me this. You can tell me this in 20 seconds, get off the stage and go away. Okay. Because there's nothing there. There's nothing to make me believe. Another person said, um, you you don't put emotion into it. So I was trying to put emotion back into it, but part of the problem is you're sitting down and you're talking, and that is an issue. And the third is um, you talked a lot, but you never showed me. And the problem that you have is how do you show AI to somebody? So my my questions for you is I would love to get your ideas on how to improve it. My goal is mean feedback. Like the old song. Sometimes you have to be cruel to be kind. So I'm going to look for cruelty again, and I may go kick a cat afterwards and things like that. But the biggest question I have is about how do you fit AI into a talk like this? Okay, how would you show AI can actually do something to improve a pitch? And at the end, I've got a really cool thing I can give you. So the agenda is basically the talk, but because we're a small group, I'm going to stop. I'm not going to stand up and do this like I'm doing the TED Talk. There's some tools that I can't share in the talk, which I'm going to give you access to, which are quite cool. And then we'll see how we go from there. Okay, you guys ready? Damian, you ready? Philip, you ready? Tanisha, your thing is off, so I don't see you. If you turn on your video, it's more fun. But if you don't want to, that's okay. So here's the start. My story starts 2 years ago when AI took my job. I was I just finished a new course on pitching, and as part of that course, I was offering personalized pitch reviews. Hey, Tanisha, good to see you. And those personal pitch reviews are something I find are really fun. At first, it was one a day, then it was two a day, then it was more a day. And I started getting this huge backlog of pitch reviews that I needed to do. And a colleague suggested to me, Bryan, why don't you use AI to do your work? And I said, come on, let's be serious. AI is, first of all, blind. They don't get to see the person making the pitch. They don't get to see the presentation. They only get the content. And I said, yeah, good. He said, humor me, just humor me. And I said, okay, fine. We'll try it out. And we'll see how well your blind computer does against me as an expert at reviewing pitches. And it just turned out that the blind computer gave the same reviews I gave to the pitches. The blind computer, without any of the voice and sound, actually gave the same results as expert reviewers. And the thing that was there is this blind computer gave more consistent feedback. I would one time say a pitch was good, and the next time I'd say it's bad. It gave better feedback and a lot better feedback, and it never got tired. So I said, look, you know what? I give up. AI wins. And, when you see something like this, you can actually sit down and roll over and die. Or you can say, there's an incredible opportunity. And actually, I tended to see it as an opportunity. And the opportunity that's there is what makes a great pitch is not what you write the first time, but what you write the fourth or fifth or sixth time. It's how you improve things. And if AI is really good at doing pitch reviews, it might help lots of people make better pitches. And for me, one of my passions in life is helping people pitch and communicate more effectively. I call them pitches. Whatever your job, whatever your industry, the reality is we're pitching all the time. You pitch at work, you pitch at home, and we're pitching everywhere we go. At the most fundamental level, a pitch is not what you're doing to get funding for a business. That's a type of pitch. A pitch is about changing and confirming what people think and getting them to take action. You can think about a pitch in the form of the following questions. What did people believe before? And what do people believe after your talk? And what action should they take? And your pitch is that thing that happens between the two. Now, we wouldn't say that we're pitching when we're asking our wives to go out for a dinner at a new restaurant, but we are. She might not have been thinking of going out for dinner, but when I share the idea, I say, look, I hope she'll have her coat on and we're ready to go. Now, I do research on pitches, as most people define those. Those are pitches where people are asking for money. And these are the torture tests of effective communication. They're competitive, they're short, and they need to convince people to do something that they often don't want to do, which is to give away money. The sad fact is most pitches aren't great. In fact, we estimate that around 40% are not even clear enough for someone to make a yes/no decision. It's not that they just said no, but they don't even know enough about the pitch to be able to understand it. And the reason is we overcomplicate things as we work. Well, we start out with this simple idea. We take out our PowerPoint, start typing away, and pretty soon we buried the core idea. Question for you guys. Tanisha, Philippe, Damien, Rolf. Do you want to know more or are you bored already? And you can be honest. Damien.
I'm that first slide setup. I feel like it's missing.
This one.
Before you build this, it feels like it's not clear what success is the distance or the amount of movement from A to B.
Yep. So whether they move from A to B is actually the answer. So in fact, I could draw that differently and just say, look, it's whether people move from where they were to a new place. And that's probably simpler. That's a good idea. Philippe, what do you think?
No, I think it works. I think the key point people are always forgetting is what do people believe before the talk? Because I mean they don't have a wide mind. They have already a lot of perceptions, and as you know, perception to change perceptions is the complicated part. So I think the move, the way you express, you have to move.
Okay.
Work.
Ralph, are you bored yet, or are you thinking it's okay?
I'm thinking it's okay. I definitely would love to see more energy from you, but it's really hard to imagine yourself in front of a group of people when you're doing it like this. So that's the only thing I would say. Yeah.
Tanisha, what do you think? Go ahead. You were going to say.
I'm going to interject back here. This slide doesn't match the previous slide. The style is totally different. It's like you use two different AI models to do it, and so it's like how I would build it. But as I see this, it's like it's just two different formats altogether.
Yep. Okay, more work to do, but you're right. Actually, I see it. You're there. Tanisha, what do you think? Are you interested about what's going to come up? You're on mute, by the way.
I'm a person that likes to get up, walk around, and engage people about what's going on.
Okay.
So when I see the first part, that's like your opportunity to engage the crowd that's there to get their feedback on what is a pitch.
Yep.
And then figure out, okay, maybe some other people might say, hey, this is how I see the pitch. Is, to me, this is what this means.
Okay.
And then ask him the B part that kind of links them together. Now, coming with the next one with the hard facts, there's not a slide in between that kind of pulls the two worlds together, I guess. You're just already hopping into facts.
Yeah.
Without taking the consideration of what you know compared to what the person already knows.
Okay. So what'll happen is when I present this for real, about half these slides are going to go away.
Okay.
Because basically they're there now because they're sort of my placeholders, and I know that I need to cover that. But this will be a black slide, and I'll be standing there, and I say, well, you know what, most pitches aren't great. In fact, they're usually pretty bad. Hey, Ron, how you doing? You got your hand up there.
Yes, I mean it's would like to agree with Tanisha and Rolf. energy is one point, and then you should not put stuff on slides which are not necessary, or even put an objection. So if you put there hard facts, then everybody is automatically, so where he got a 40%, and where he got this, and is it 40% or is it 20? Or it depends on the quality of the presenter and stuff like that. Just leave it with the 40% of pitches fail, or call it a challenge, or things. But I say hard facts, it's something on the slide which is not necessary.
Okay.
It just raises objections.
Yep, I got it. So I think this slide's going to die anyways. Okay, so let me tell you where I'm going to go with this talk. So, and I see there's an error on this slide as well. So basically, when we start out the process, we usually have pretty good ideas. And then we start working. And when we start, things are simple. We pull out PowerPoint, we start typing up our slides, and things get more and more complex. And PowerPoint sort of turns our brain off a little bit. And then we start adding, our ideas, our insights, our facts. We start searching around the internet, and we try to make our pitch as strong as possible. And finally, we're ready to present. And what happens in that final moment that you make your presentation, things get a bit simpler, but usually they're not very simple. Usually presentations are pretty complex. And what you end up with is what I would call your Frankenstein pitches. They're bloated, they're confusing, they're lifeless, they're filled with buzzwords, jargon, AI, and everything. And what I do is I run big hackathons, big events, sometimes with as many as 400 startups at a time. Now, when I run these events, there's always somebody like Hari, the guy on the screen here. And this is a guy who breaks my heart. When somebody makes a pitch and it sucks and they didn't work hard, I don't care. But there's a guy like this. He comes in, he's young, he's passionate, he's hardworking. In his case, he's a guitar fan. He's been working on a new app for years, and he's ready to share his program with the world. And he's been working really hard. And the harder he works, the more confusing he gets. And Harry comes in with something like this. We've built Guitar Science, an advanced pedagogical tool leveraging cutting-edge real-time auditory processing algorithms to analyze frequency waveforms and harmonic resonances. It uses AI to make everything simple. And the problem is it's anything but simple. And what you have is he hasn't gotten to the point where it gets simple again. And there's this gap of clarity where you have to get back to simple, and where people succeed is when they get things simple. And you can get 40% fail rate down to a 5% fail rate if you do things differently, if you work in getting things clear before you go on your creation. And what we're looking at is a way that you can get there fast is by using AI. And there's an expression I love. And this is an expression that I lived with my son. My son is very successful these days, but he was always challenging me. He's always saying you have to do things in a different way. And I always said, Thibaut, it's first pants, then shoes. Some things have to be done in order. When you're making a pitch, you need to get your story right before you work on your pitch deck. And I'm willing to make you a promise here and now. If you're willing to do the work and you're willing to do things in order, you will never, ever make a bad pitch again. To make a really good pitch, you need to start with a simple story, and you have to wait on creating your story, your pitch deck and things like that until you got it simple. Now, what happens, this takes a long time in the old world. And in fact, in the old world, before AI, I had a rule of thumb. If you wanted to make a 2-hour pitch, it will take you a day. If you wanted to make a 20-minute pitch, it would take you 2 days. If you wanted to make a good 3 to 5 minute pitch, it'll take you a week. Now with AI, you can change this all around. And what I'd like to tell you about is how you can make a really good, probably not a great pitch in about an hour working together with AI. This is not just a little bit faster, but it's light speed different. And it's a 3-step process. 1, you make your story. 2, you get feedback. And then finally, when you got your pants on, you put your shoes on, you work on delivering your message. So to get started with your story, people collect lots of information. And I have to say, it's almost never seen anybody who doesn't have enough to say. The challenge is they almost always have too much to say. And when they get more stuff, they do word crafting. They make more complicated. They fit in all the buzzwords and make everything fit together. And then they just talk faster. And when they talk faster and more complex, it's a recipe for disaster. That's a time that you can bring AI into the mix. Now, there's some research showing actually how good AI is. In studies with startup pitches, 80% of investors prefer pitches built by AI versus pitches built by human. And they find them 70% more persuasive. Now, building a pitch is not very hard. In fact, a pitch can be put together with just 3 building blocks. One is, what's your pitch about? What do you want? What do people believe now? And what do they need to believe afterwards? And how do you pull them in? The meat of your pitch, problem, promise, proof, and payoff. And the close, and what do people have to do next? Now, we tested humans versus AI making pitches. And basically, we gave them all the same information. We said, what is the goal of the pitch? What's the introduction? The 4 Ps, the call to action. AI did the work in a minute. Human beings, we gave 30 minutes. Then we scored all the pitches with our pitch review tool. And the humans aren't bad, but they're not great. And they're sort of sitting in the middle. Now, the issue that I come up with now is actually, can I demonstrate this in some way? So this is definitely not a slide that's in the presentation. But when I work with people, actually what I tend to have them do is I say, look, give me your current pitch. Give me the stuff that you want to do. And let me put in that, these pieces and parts and write up a pitch. Now, if you ask AI to do this, one of the problems with AI is it only has a forward-thinking moment. So what we do is we actually ask AI to give alternative versions after it's given its first version, and then have it re-edit for a final version. And what you'll come down with is a pretty good pitch. And the pitch down here, if we take that process, it will actually give you different pitches and different layouts. Can you think of any way we could present this where it would be clear? We're not, I see you're in here, you're new. Is there a way to present how this is done with AI? I see things in the chat. Anybody have any?
Thinking of chart.
What's that?
I'm thinking a flow chart with some graphics of, like when future you can have as an icon, problem can be an icon, emotional can be, so problem, I hear Lucy.
So what I can see, I can imagine thinking of what you're talking about, Damien, is we do sort of a flow chart going across. You start here, add these things, get 3 different versions, pick out the best version, and this is what it looks like.
Yeah.
I think that we can visualize and actually animate while it's going through. So we'll do that. So the first thing we have.
I was thinking of, I always do storyboards. That could be another way, because you can also use like videos in between those storyboards and kind of go through each particular one.
Yeah. So the secret sauce of having AI write it is actually to have AI write it several times. So it's the storyboard. And I've 3 different stories, and you're having AI choose the story. So I think I can combine what Damien was saying and what Tanisha was saying. We'll come together. Okay, so you got this. You got from freaky Frankenstein pitch to something that's moderately clear. And now comes the secret sauce of making a good pitch. And the secret sauce is actually about getting feedback and improving based on the feedback. And I have to repeat that twice because, in fact, a lot of times people get feedback and they don't actually use the feedback. The best feedback you can get is from real people, but they're seldom available to listen to your pitch at 2 in the morning or the same pitch for the 30th time. There's, of course, you, but it's really hard for you to see what isn't good. So what comes into place is AI is a really good way to get feedback on a pitch. Now, we go back to the beginning here, and these are the results when we compared AI versus expert reviewers. We compared against 11 different expert reviewers, and we can measure the quality of the reviews in 3 different ways. One is, do they say the same thing? AI is saying the same thing. It's not the best, but it's near the top. In terms of reliability, it is the best. And in terms of value of feedback, it's nowhere even close to the other one. But what's most important is AI can be your friend, that's not embarrassed to say anything. Your brutally honest friend. You can ask AI to analyze your pitch and tell me what's unclear or weak. Why might people say no? How can I make it simpler? Where's the BS in my talk? You can think of your AI as a friend who isn't afraid to tell you the truth and ask that friend to tell you the truth. Now, the type of question you might ask, and I'm going to take your idea here again, the storyboards, is we have an example. Give me 3 reasons why this pitch might fail is a fantastic question to ask in an AI because it will give you 3 reasons. And you can say, look, based on those 3 reasons, improve my pitch for me. Another thing you can do, which is fantastic, is ask AI to take different perspectives and review your pitch. So for example, we do, give me 5 users, give me 5 investors, and have all 10 of them review my pitch and try to rewrite the pitch so 6 out of 10 of them thinks it's a great pitch. And what we'll get is we get all this feedback and we come down to a new and improved pitch. Now this pitch will be good, but it's not going to be great. But it's definitely not going to be in the 40% that people don't understand. So we imagine Harry again saying, imagine delighting your friends with guitar songs after just 3 quick lessons. Guitar Science uses AI to tailor lessons to your style, making learning fast, easy, and enjoyable, regardless of your tech skills. This is the type of presentation that people will understand. Now, the last part of this is making your presentation. And that's where we usually start. And we're thinking, oh my God, we got 1 hour to do this. How am I going to make a presentation in 20 minutes? Now, the presentation doesn't need to be a pitch deck. It might be if you're doing a pitch, but it might be an email for a colleague. It might be a text message to your wife. What's important is you're going through the process of making it simple before you make your pitch. To give you an idea of how long it actually takes, we've timed with clients where we actually look and we give an AI written pitch deck and a few different prompts, and it can make a pretty good looking pitch deck in around a minute. And this is not something that's a bad looking pitch deck. It's actually pretty damn good. And the tool we use is Gamma AI. What that means is you got 19 minutes left to practice. And if you use that time, you can actually do it to make a good pitch. It's not about redoing your slides. Film yourself, record your voice, ask your friends what they think. Stand in front of people like this, and you'll get decent feedback. Now, a question you might ask is, how well does the process really work? The reality is, it's not perfect. The first version that will come out of this process will typically score around in the 70th percentile. If you do it again, you'll get to around to the 90th percentile. But remember, for investors, they're investing in the top 1%. So it still means you're in the failure range. What you need to do is you now need in your last step is to work on being a human being to make a great pitch. And I can't promise you greatness, but I can tell you if you keep on going at it, You'll get there eventually. What you might end up with, and this I'm going to skip, is a much simpler presentation that is actually quite good and straightforward. Now, what you need to remember out of the talk is a pitch is about a story. It's about getting your story right, then delivery. You're responsible for it. A challenge for you would be actually to take a tough challenge, tough pitch you want to make, give yourself an hour, put a timer on, and see if you can do it. Now, a question that I think is fun is, did I use AI to write this? How many people think I used AI? Let me tell you, the first time I didn't, and actually I made a mistake. So my confession is I did a bit, but the first time I wrote it, I had all these old slides. I had courses. I'm an expert. I can put all this stuff together. And what I did is I did it the wrong way, the old way, the way you're doing things now. I was excited about the talk, and I started taking all my old slides, putting them all together, and the end result was a confusing mess. I spent about a day and threw everything out. Then I started over. I wrote a story out. I worked with AI to help me clarify my story, made the story simple. I had worked with some colleagues, made a few slides. It took me less than 2 hours to write the presentation. Too often in our lives, there's a knowing doing gap. I knew I should write my story first, but I didn't do it. When I did what I knew I should do, things got better, a lot better. Now you know the secret of how using AI to make a really good pitch in an hour. Will you do it? I hope you will. And I'd like to close the talk with a quote I like very much from Albert Einstein. He said, if I now were to solve a problem and my life depended on it, I'd spend 55 minutes finding the right question and 5 minutes solving it. If you have 1 hour to make the pitch for your life, spend 55 minutes with AI to craft your story, make it simple, and then 5 minutes making the slides. That, my friends, is first pants than shoes. It's a better way to make a pitch. It's a way to succeed. Okay, guys. I hate doing this stuff. Renat, you're one of my favorite people because I was watching you when I talked, and I noticed when you were smiling and things like that. So I
love it. Yeah, it's good. It's good.
So
it's timing. It's important in projects. The most important thing is timing. Then the AA help you for that. It's the main thing. Good.
Yeah. So Damian, you got another comment here. Give it to me, man. You were my first comments, and you're giving me the best ones here.
So when you were going through there, you went into identifying different person profiles. I would suggest that when you're talking about your investors, look at investor thesis as a way to go through and help to differentiate that, and then ask the AI to create a table of what are the different common theses that investors would have in order to look to fund this pitch.
So the challenge that I come up with is when you start throwing AI into this stuff, it gets really hard because it gets boring. Nobody wants to watch things scrolling up on the screen, but I think I'm going to film it and do something like that. So I'm going to do two things. One is I'm going to tell you I got some cool stuff for you. There is a so there is a link which actually has this presentation. There is a series of tools we built to make pitches. They're available. A mural board which allows you to make pitch in a group. We have a course on making pitches, which is the one that I started here. There's a book. And the last two are really cool. There's a pitch maker app. You throw in your stuff, you get a pitch back. And there's a pitch review app, which reviews it really cool. And I see hands up. Go ahead, Philippe. Tell me what you think.
Yeah. Now, I would say the same with about the feedback from the synthetic users. I would make it more visual. Maybe a table and say, Karen, the first column could be a profile of synthetic users. The second column could be negative comments or negative feedback, and so on. I think it would be easier to understand, and also maybe to make it clear that you are doing it with synthetic users, because if you used to use AI, you can understand that you are testing on synthetic users, but otherwise maybe it's not so clear. And then I would say from the general about the general presentation, I would say it's a great presentation, but for me the weakest point is the beginning, which is, and the first impression is always key, no? And maybe to have a hook. Once you start with the storytelling and the guitar guy, and then it's changing. But the beginning is quite serious, classical. I would say the first 3-4 minutes when we talk about the general problem. So why not to start maybe the storytelling from scratch, from the beginning, not from, I don't know, maybe after minutes 5 or something like that, you came with the guitar guy.
Yeah, no, I think there's a reason to do that. The only reason I would stick with the story is actually it's true. It's most of the TED Talks, the stories they give are not true, but this is actually, it's really true. I said, look, how can a blind computer do this better than me? So I think what I need to do is get some more life in there. Did other people have the same feeling? Tanisha, I see your hand up here. I'm going to let you ask your question, but did you get lost in the story at the beginning as well?
It wasn't.
It didn't grab you.
It didn't grab me enough. I am a person that's just, I guess I teach at a university, and I'm a director. So I look for things that catch my eye or what I hear that is engaging. I've also understood that a goldfish has a longer attention span than a human. So with working with college students on campus, it's about grabbing every moment you possibly can.
Yeah.
The other part is in the pitch, there's jargon that you're using. So understanding the audience on who are you talking to.
Yeah.
That plays a huge part in it as well. And then I had one more thought, and it's kind of fading away, but it's going to come back. Good gracious.
It's a question of age, my friend.
Oh boy. Yeah, it was about like tying it together, the jargon, but there's something else. But give me a few seconds. I'm gonna think about it and then let you know.
Okay. Can I ask people, what was this presentation about? Is there a message?
Oh, I finally got it. Thank you.
Go ahead, tell me.
So I use AI a lot with things that I use, but I have to understand every time that I use AI, it's becoming familiar with who I am. So if I would go in here and do the same thing that you would do, it would not come out with the same result because it's learning who I am. Also, at the same time, AI, you can use that and also become humanized. So you can tell it, act as a pitch maker to do a pitch for this, or act as an investor. Or it could be the other fact, like humanize this part of what needs to happen. Then it will push it out for you. So it's also taking the extra step where you say making sure it's human. AI can do that too.
Yeah. No, I think I mean, the reality is the way that you really do this is, okay, the tool that we have to make it actually does all this thing. It makes it in 15 different versions. It does all these, evaluate this, and actually it does all this cool stuff for you. So you basically, if you're not brain dead, you will make a pitch that people understand.
Yes.
And that means that you're already out of the bottom 40%. And then if you use the AI in a smart way, you'll actually get some reasonably good feedback. Roland, you got your hand up.
Yes.
By the way, it feels really vulnerable asking you these questions.
No, I mean, it's great. And I admire that you take the courage to ask people you haven't even met before, like me, for a blunt opinion and taking it like a man, or which I apologize to all the women in the call as well. I didn't mean it this way. No, I mean, the major point is, one of the things is I have a certain expectation for a TED Talk. A TED Talk is short, very bold, straight from the impression and so on. Even if you would train it, you would have to make this kind of impression, because everybody would expect this for a TED Talk. Yeah, it's well thought out, short, concise.
Yeah.
Say this one, the start with the picture, which we have to explain as a hook, it's difficult. If you would like start with the message, 40% of all pitches fail. That's a bold statement. And then you can go from there, or you could go from there and say, there's an example, and it failed because of this and this and so on. So you basically don't follow your own rules to having a good hook at the beginning and then following up on this one. So problem first, then the solution, and then the steps going down the road bring you there. And last but not least, to be honest, nobody cares how much you failed or whether you started this way and then used AI and so on. All your experience ended up that with the AI, with a certain way, you enable everybody to make a good pitch within the 47 seconds and within an hour being able to present a decent pitch. And if they spend more time with these tools, they can make even a great pitch with a fraction of the time. So ending even your take-home message, your action, calling to action, it's not coming out for me.
Oh. Okay, I'll take it like a man. I actually see a way to start the presentation differently, which is kind of cool, based on your comment there.
I mean, it's a good presentation.
No, but
I say, for a TED Talk, I would expect something.
I don't want to do a good presentation. I want to do a great presentation. Good sucks. I mean, so I'm thinking about the start here. Actually, I do have something that's cool in my life, which is I set up a foundation 2 years ago to train 1 million innovators. Okay. And one of the things is that's a hard number to reach. And one of the things that these innovators do is they make bad pitches. So in fact, the first thing that I did in the process is made a pitching course. And the thing is, the reason I made it is 40% of pitches fail. And you can actually, I can pull it in. So I'm actually establishing credibility and I'm bringing in this problem up front. And I can say to you, look, if you listen to this whole talk, I'll tell you a way that you'll never have a failing pitch again. So I think that's something we can do.
I missed part of it. I was having connection problems, but it seems to me a good way to start is to do a failing pitch, which is the average failing pitch. You tell us what you want to accomplish and give the pitch so we can see a bad pitch. Then tell us how 40% of pitches fail, and then show your process. And as you iterate through your process, show us what it looks like so that the bad pitch goes to a better pitch.
Yeah.
And I think that would keep people engaged. So they can see that it does work. Your process does work. It makes that bad pitch better.
Yeah. So the comment that I got from a good friend of mine the last time I did this, he said, look, Bryan, yeah, you don't show me. I'm not leaving here convinced. So I think what you have to do is you have to visualize it. I think the flow charts, as Damien was presenting, storyboards, I think we can do that. The pitch getting easier and simpler over time. The problem is when you read a bad pitch, it's boring to read a bad pitch. It's really boring. So,
You don't read it, you give it.
Yeah.
And then you can show the text, but then show, here's my process. And this is how it's better. And then we go, you get the feedback, and then we get some more feedback. It makes it even better. You get some more feedback. It makes it better. So people can see it in action.
Do you think I could ever, when I get to the bad pitch, the starting pitch, I could just ask people to read it?
I think you should give it.
I could say, look,
you can show it. You can
read this.
How many people
understand this? How many people understand it? It's 20 seconds long. How many people got it? What is this thing about? Nobody's going to get it.
If you were giving a pitch to somebody in real life, would you just give them a slide to look at, or would you give them the pitch?
I wouldn't even show the slide normally.
Exactly. You could show the slide after.
Okay.
So they can see it.
Cool.
And say, this is what I'm working with, and then show, we get some feedback from AI or whoever, and then we improve the pitch and so forth. It has to be more active to be engaging.
All right, cool. All right, I've got lots of comments here. So if you go to the chat, there's the tools here. Take the last one, the free tools thing. It's really cool. The pitch review thing is absolutely fantastic. I'm sorry, I'm going to talk like an American for just a second, but it takes things, makes 3 to 5 minute pitches that actually sing and dance, and people don't say no to it. That's kind of cool. Last comments, Rolf. What do you think? Am I gonna fail on Saturday, or am I gonna succeed?
I think you got the components here. I think what you need to do is work the stories into your pitch.
Okay.
Like just, I'm sending an email with some comments. I actually found a GPT that helps develop TED Talks. So
Cool.
I'm forwarding that to you. I ran the gist of what you said through it, and it gave some good emotional hooks, such as starting out with, imagine you've poured your heart and soul into an idea. You step onto the stage, pitch it to investors, and see nothing but blank stares.
I think that's what I need. Cool.
So that's one of the things that came with. But I basically, all I did was I fed it what you said.
Yeah.
And it's pulling out some of the more emotional hooks, which to me is amazing that something that's emotionless, like the AI, can actually help capture where the emotional components are in your talk.
So Rolf, you got some people that are asking for the link. They're saying,
sure.
Thanks. So if you can put that in there, people are like, any last suggestions here? Anybody who didn't have a chance to break my heart yet? Roland, you got another question here. Comment.
No, it's really I like the flow charts, because if the order you show this is really makes it graspable on the process, on simplification and so on. And I think going these simple graphs and saying, okay, at this point you're there, then you use these tools. Here you use the AI that brings you there, simplification, and for instance, giving a bit of what the AI really does in this process, because it's able to simplify things, or to use all the trained data to make it to a commonly understandable, easy sentences. We all think differently. We all have, this in mind and this in mind, but the AI that doesn't cares about it, it really brings it down, if you make the right prompt, to an commonly understandable language. And I think this is one of the biggest strengths, that it filters out all the noise and gets to the major points and makes it in common sense language.
Okay.
And there it's real. And I used your tools, I must admit this, and I find it great. It's really amazing what you can achieve with this.
Okay, so I will send you a link to the final presentation that I make on Saturday, so you all will get it, and we'll see how it goes. Hopefully it's good enough that people will want to share it. And I appreciate the smiles, the energy, the warmth, the fact that you laughed and you had a good time. And now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to redo this pitch all by myself and see if it gets any better. And I'm going to try to take the comments that were there. Any last comments? Bernat, you didn't say anything. You smiled a lot, but that's okay.
Well done, the shot.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Thank you, everybody. I really.
Thanks, Bryan.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.
Bye.
Rolf, could you stick for a second?
Yes, I will. Sure.
Oh, Bryan, can I say one thing about feedback?
Yeah.
As an academic who always gets feedback, I was told a long time ago is that feedback is just telling you that people didn't understand what's clear in your head, because it's not clear in theirs. And so the purpose is to make it clearer and clearer to the audience that you're trying to approach. So you shouldn't take it and feel bad about it.
No, I think I don't feel bad. I wouldn't do this enough. Actually, it makes me feel good that people feel brave enough to say something. It shows a lot of respect. and I really appreciate it. By the way, I
Okay.
left academia because of the feedback process, though. I couldn't do it anymore. I just said, oh, fuck, this stuff's too hard for me. But
Okay, well, good. Good luck with your talk. When is it?
that's on Saturday.
Ah, okay. Can we
So,
log in? Are
um,
they doing it online or just in person?
I think it's just in person, but I'll send
Okay.
the link right afterwards.
Okay.
I
Good
hope you
luck.
send me a share. Thank you. Cheers.
Okay. Bye.
There was other comments in the chat if you want to save that chat.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. Let me.
cool. So
Okay.
thank you.
Have a great one.
Yeah, cheers. Oh. Oh,
It's tough, man. I don't think I could do it.
what couldn't you do?
Oh, a TED Talk. I don't, it's, yeah, it's,
I'm sure when I get when I get in front of 400, 500 people, the adrenaline is going to go, and
yeah,
and I think even the humor comes out because you got some
right.
blood pumping. Um, Let me ask you a really blunt question. Is there a
Sure.
is there a message in this talk?
I think there is, and I think like the fundamental message is the AI can help you write an investor pitch deck that actually gets understood,
Yeah.
so that you're not being said no to just because somebody doesn't understand you.
Mhm.
They're able to give you feedback. The investors can give you feedback as to this is a good fit for us or it's not a good fit for us.
Yeah.
So I think there's some good stuff there. I think getting the stories whipped into it is kind of things. And I think you have two stories. You have one, the guitar
Yeah.
app
Yeah.
story, and I think you also have the story of your son learning how to put his pants on
Yeah. Yeah.
and stuff. And I would actually take the time to step back a bit and set those stories up.
You know, it's fun. He's in the audience when I'm doing this. So
Oh, fun.
I'm going to look at him as I'm talking. He doesn't know this is coming up, by the way.
Oh, love it. Love it.
And
So that'll enliven things too. I think for me, the biggest trouble I ever have practicing a talk is practice.
no. Yeah.
And it doesn't feel like the same as actually the environment you're going to be in, the electricity of the people around you and stuff.
So the reason I did this is actually to force myself to do it. So
Yeah,
if I knew people were logging in at 6 o'clock and I had some people there, I had to do the talk. I couldn't not do it. So now
yeah,
I've done the talk twice, and that's probably 3 times more than I practice normal presentation. I basically show up and go. And
yep.
and here the problem that comes up actually is actually I've worked on it and I probably have too much stuff in and I have to
Mhm.
cut stuff out.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I think you will get it figured out.
Yeah.
There's definitely a message there. There's good content there. There's um, trying to think what the
So the goal is that you see this and you think of somebody who could benefit from it. That is
yes,
so I think for me, if I might find it because I'm looking for how to make a pitch. So I look on YouTube and say how to make a pitch. Oh, this one's kind of a funny title. Okay, I might look at that. And if I can get a few of those people to say, oh, this is interesting, and they send it over to a buddy saying, hey, look, this guy's going to help you do it. But I don't think I'm there yet. I don't think I'm shareable yet.
yeah, and I think what will make you more shareable is working on the stories and the emotional hooks.
Okay, I'll try it out.
I think, and it doesn't have to be deep emotional hooks, but it's that emotional hook of have you ever presented something that you thought was a fantastic idea and you got nothing but blank stares back at you.
So, you know, the story that could the Hari thing, I can act. This guy he's semi-real. His real name isn't Hari, but it's a real story of a real app of a real. And actually, I saw him working so hard, and I almost felt like crying because he worked so much harder than the other yahoos that were there, and nobody understood him. And you know, in retrospect, I failed because I didn't help him get his stuff simple enough. But I said, look, I'm not going to have this happen again. And okay, cool. Let me give you an update on the book. My ghostwriter pulled out on me is sick. So
shoot.
I have a new
I saw
one.
the message that you had. I didn't know he'd pulled out completely. Okay.
Yeah, I have a new one, and I get back a first draft on Friday. We'll see if that's good.
Awesome.
All right.
Awesome.
Thank you all. Cheers, man.
Hey, cool.
And by the way,
if you want to run through it one more time with me, feel free to send me a message.
Okay, I might do that. And let's do some business this year, Wolf. I'm starting to get more and more traction right now.
Good.
I'm probably running two to three events per month right now.
Oh, good. That's good. Yeah.
Which is good. I'm finding that as I get older, I don't have the energy to do 2 events per week anymore.
Sure.
And what I've got, which is really cool, is I have 2 of the big 5 consulting companies that want to buy the rights to my brain. And maybe I can retire then. We'll see.
Yeah. That would be amazing. So by the rights to your brain, does that mean basically all the stuff that's in the books that you've got and all the teaching you've done over the years? Or
so basically it would be a contract to train within the organization for 2 years to create an internal tool that sits on every consultant's desktop.
Like that.
And basically after that's running, we decide they have an option to buy everything and kick me out, or we continue to run it and make it into a company. And
neat.
And either way, if they buy me out, it's enough money that I can live. So we will see if it comes. So basically, they buy the teaching, they buy all the tools, they buy them packaged, so it sits on a consultant's desktop.
Sure.
And he has his client data. So he might have 4 clients and there's 4 buttons on his desktop filled with data about those clients. And to make a long story short, it's the process of what they're buying is the process of creating the content that goes in each of those buttons. So it's a whole series of market assessment prompts, a whole series of ways to run it. And then all of those things that you see in the book are actually options within that button.
Oh, okay. Sure.
We'll see. All right.
Wow.
Thank you, Rolf.
Cool.
See you, man.
It's amazing.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
All right. Have a good evening. Yep. Bye.